There comes a time in life when the roles between parents and children begin to shift. You spend decades leading them, guiding them, sacrificing for them. But one day you realize that something has changed. Maybe they ignore your advice. Maybe they dismiss your opinions. Maybe they talk badly about you, or worse, they make you feel like a liability, and that hurts. If your children have started treating you with less respect than you deserve, you may feel frustrated, even angry. You may want to remind them of all the things you've done for them, of the years you spent putting them first. But here's the truth: getting angry won't fix it. In fact, it often makes things worse. Instead, there's a much more effective way to earn back your respect, without fighting, without arguing, and without complaining. Today, I'm going to share 6 things you can do when your children don't respect you. These are powerful changes, simple changes in the way you respond, changes that can completely transform the way they see you. Some of these changes may surprise you, but if you stick with it, you will discover how to reclaim your place as a respected and valued figure in their lives. Now, let's get started. Action 1. Stop chasing their approval. One of the biggest mistakes parents make, especially as they grow older, is trying too hard to please their children. Maybe you've noticed yourself doing this. You go out of your way to accommodate them. You say yes when you mean no. You put their needs ahead of your own, hoping that if you just do enough, they'll appreciate you more. But here's the ugly truth. The more you chase their approval, the less they respect you. You know, respect is not earned through self-sacrifice. It's earned through self-respect. If you're always backing down, always giving, always trying to keep the peace, what you're really teaching them is that your feelings come second. And once they start believing that, it's easy for them to milk you for your money. I knew a woman named Margaret. She was a strong, independent woman in her younger years. But as she got older, she started letting her children make all the decisions. She rearranged her schedule around her needs. She kept her opinions to herself and even ignored the way they talked to her. "I just want to keep the family together," she once told me. But what happened? Her children stopped valuing her. They saw her as someone who would always adjust, always agree, always stay silent. She thought she was keeping the peace. But what she was really doing was losing her voice. If your children don't respect you, the first step is not to demand it, it's to stop acting like you need it. Follow boundaries. Say no when you need to. Speak your mind, even if they don't like what you have to say. Because the moment you start respecting yourself, they start seeing you differently. And in time, that respect will come back to you. Action 2. Don't argue, lead by example. When your children disprove your opinions, talk over you, or treat you with disrespect, your first instinct may be to argue, remind them of everything you've done, ask them to listen. But let me tell you, something that will save you years of frustration: arguing never works. Think about it. When was the last time you convinced someone to respect you by fighting for it? Respect isn't earned through words, it's earned through presence, through the way you carry yourself, through the way you respond when others try to test your patience. If you meet disrespect with anger, all you're doing is confirming what they already believe, that they have power over you. I knew a man named Frank, a retired teacher who spent his life leading a class with confidence. But at home, his growing children began to treat him like a hopeless person. They ignored his advice, dismissed his concerns, and sometimes even laughed when he tried to correct them. At first, he argued back, trying to prove that he still deserved their respect. But the more he fought, the worse things got. Then one day, Frank made a change. Instead of fighting, he began to listen, really listen. He stopped chasing respect with words and instead behaved like a man who already had it. He spoke calmly, wisely, without the need to earn it. And slowly, his children began to notice. They saw a man who wasn't desperate for their approval, who didn't need to prove himself, who was simply a figure of strength. If your children don't respect you, don't fight them about it. Show them what respect looks like by the way you carry yourself. Maintain your dignity. Speak with confidence. And most importantly, never stoop to their level, because when you stand your ground with grace, they will sense it and, in time, they will follow your lead. If you're still watching this video and finding this information valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and ring the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue to create great content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move on. Action 3. Remove your emotional dependence. One of the hardest laws to learn as you grow older is that you can't depend on your children for emotional fulfillment. You may love them deeply and you may want them to love and respect you in return. But the moment they feel like you need them to feel valued, the power in the relationship shifts. Here's the reality: people, even your own children, respect those who are emotionally independent. When you rely on them for validation, love, or attention, it puts pressure on them. And instead of feeling grateful, they start to feel pressured. They can take from you. They can start to treat you with impatience or even irritation. And the more you chase their love, the less freely they give it. I knew a woman named Helen. She was a loving mother who had given everything to her children. As they grew older and became busy with their own lives, she found herself waiting by her cell phone, waiting for them to call. When they didn't call, she called instead. Often, very often. She reminded them how much she missed them, how she wished they would visit more. But instead of bringing them closer, it pulled them away. They began to see her calls as an obligation instead of something they looked forward to. Then one day, Helen did something different. She stopped waiting. She stopped calling first. Instead, she began to focus on herself, taking up new hobbies, going out with friends, taking care of her own happiness. And something amazing happened. Her children began to call her more. They began to respect her time, to see her as someone with a whole life of her own. The lesson is simple. The more you depend on your children to make them feel needed, the more they begin to value your presence. When you show them that you can stand strong on your own, they begin to respect you, not in a compulsory way, but because they truly love the life you have built for yourself. Step 4. Set boundaries and enforce them. One of the main reasons children lose respect for their parents is because their parents have left them. If you allow your children to talk disrespectfully to you, dismiss your opinions, or treat you as if your time and feelings don't matter, they will continue to do so. Not because they are bad people, but because people, especially family, will always treat you the way you allow them to. Setting boundaries doesn't mean cutting off your children's hands or creating conflict. It means calmly and firmly deciding what kind of behavior you will and will not accept. And most importantly, it means enforcing those boundaries when they are crossed. I remember a man named Robert, a retired businessman who had spent his life running a business with discipline and confidence. But when it came to his adult children, he struggled. They interrupted him when he spoke, dismissed his concerns, and even criticized the way he lived his life. At first, he tolerated it. He told himself it wasn't worth the fight, but over time, he realized that every time he remained silent, he was teaching them that their behavior was acceptable. Then one day, Robert changed his approach. When his son interrupted him, he calmly said, "I'll continue talking when you're ready to listen." When his daughter dismissed his opinion, he simply responded, "You don't have to agree with me, but I expect you to respect me." And when they continued to push his boundaries, he made it clear that if they couldn't treat him with basic respect, he wouldn't be spending time with them. And you know what happened? They started listening. At first, they resisted, but over time, they realized their father wasn't standing up for himself. They saw that he valued himself enough to demand respect. And because of that, they started giving it to him. If your children don't respect you, it's time to ask yourself, are you allowing it? Because if you don't set boundaries, they won't set them for you. And if you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. If you're still watching this video and are finding this information valuable, please comment number 4 below so I know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue to create great content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Action 5. Stop giving without appreciation. One of the quickest ways to lose respect is to continue to give to people who don't appreciate it. And as parents, we do this more often than we realize. We give our time, our energy, our support, even when it's not appreciated, even when it's taken away, even when we're met with nothing but appreciation. But here's the truth. When you give to someone who doesn't appreciate you, you don't create love, you don't create respect, you create expectations. They stopped seeing your friendship as something valuable and started seeing it as something they are attached to. And the moment you stopped, they don't feel grateful, they feel inconvenienced. I knew a man named Jorge, a father who had always been generous with his children. He helped them financially when they needed it, dropped everything to help them, and even rearranged his life to accommodate their needs. But instead of gratitude, he was met with complaisance. They didn't say thank you, they expected more. And the worst part, when he finally needed help, they were too busy. Then one day, Jorge made a change. He stopped reaching out, he stopped offering help before it was asked, and, most importantly, he started saying no when he needed it. At first, his children were frustrated. They didn't understand why he wasn't bending over backwards for them more. But over time, something changed. They began to value his time. They began to appreciate his efforts, because suddenly they realized that his generosity wasn't limitless. It was a gift, not a guarantee. If you feel like your kids don't respect your time, your effort, or your friendship, take a step back. Ask yourself, are you giving more than you should? And if so, what would happen if you stopped? Because when you teach people that your generosity is conditional on respect, they start to treat you that way. Step 6. Create a life outside of them. One of the most powerful ways to regain your kids' respect is to show them that your happiness doesn't revolve around them. As parents, it's natural to dedicate ourselves to our kids, to make them the center of our lives. But over time, that dynamic changes. And if you've spent your life putting them first, they may start to see you as someone who has nothing else going on. People respect those who have their own purpose, their own interests, their own sense of fulfillment. And if your kids see you relying on them for entertainment, validation, or meaning, they may start to feel suffocated or worse. They may start to see you as someone who has no life of your own. I knew a woman named Eleanor, a grandmother in the 1970s. After her husband died, she injected everything into her children's lives, checking in constantly, giving them unsolicited advice, hoping they would fill the space her husband once did. But instead of hindering them, it pushed them out. They visited less, their phone calls became shorter, and Eleanor felt lonelier than ever. So she made a choice. She joined a book club. She started traveling with friends. She volunteered at a local community center. She stopped making her children the center of her world, and something amazing happened. Her children began to come closer to her. They were curious about what she was doing. They admired her independence. They respected her. If your children don't respect you, ask yourself if they see you as someone with a full and meaningful life, or if they see you as someone waiting for their attention. Because when you show them that you are living, not just existing, they begin to see you in a completely different light. If you are still watching this video and finding this information valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you are here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and ring the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue to create great content to inform and inspire you. Final thoughts. Respect is not something you can demand from your children. It's something you inspire through the way you take care of yourself, through the way you create boundaries, and through the way you live your life. If they've started treating you with less care, less consideration, or less respect, don't waste your energy getting angry. Instead, change your approach. Stop chasing their support, because the less you need it, the more they will give. Milk, for example, because your dignity speaks louder than your words. Let go of your emotional dependence, because the more self-sufficient you are, the more they will respect your presence. Follow boundaries, because people will only treat you as you require them to. Stop giving without appreciation, because when generosity is taken away, it loses its value. Most importantly, build a life outside of them, because people respect those who have their own purpose, their own joy, and their own sense of fulfillment. If you do these things, something amazing will happen. Your children will begin to see you in a different light, not as someone who expects their attention, but as someone who commands respect simply by being who they are. And in time, that respect will come back to you, not because you asked for it, but because you earned it. Thank you for bringing us together today. We love hearing from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us motivation and